Julius Malema had a fantastic webinar session where he was interviewed and he was answering crucial topics. From that interview, I want to unpack about 4 topics that he spoke about, and I hope you guys are going to enjoy it because coming to the close to the date of the election day, it's important to understand why we must vote for the EFF, where their minded are, so that this interview and many others like this help us to decide on which party to put our cross next to.
Welcome to King Said So, Africa's one land, one language, one currency, one army on King Said So. Africans can unite. Your Pan-Africanist podcast. Enjoy.
Peace in Pan-Africanism to all my African brothers and sisters from all around the world. Welcome back to King Said So. I'm your host, King053, Mr. Easy Imani Eneginegi, and we're back at it again with another one. And this time around, I'm covering this interesting webinar where Julius Malema sat down with a few crowd and some people at the other side of the screen getting interviewed. And they had to ask him the crucial questions. And as always, Julius Malema had the answers. So it's very interesting for me to unpack this interesting interview. I hope you guys are going to enjoy it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I just took down some few points, about 4, that I want to break down for you guys so that we can, have a deeper discussions as Pan-Africanists and the importance of us scrutinizing everything our politicians saying in a Pan-Africanist way. Julius Malema, for me, one of the best politicians in South Africa right now. If we were to look at each political party, president-wise, Julius Malema is probably up there with the best, So it's very interesting. Whatever the EFF does, I always have my eye on it. So the first point I want to unpack is what Julius Malema said about what role actually the private sector can play in the energy sector, in the logistics sector, and also what role can they play when it comes to supplying of water. Listen to this.
Can I take you back to the issues of competition in sectors of the economy? What is your idea of the role of the private sector in energy, in logistics, maybe even in the water sector?
The private sector has got no role in the energy. I said to you, energy, power stations are a national security key point. So I'm not going to entrust the future of my country in the hands of a private man called Johan Rupert, who can decide any day I'm closing my power station the way he closes his own kitchen. No. The power stations and the energy cannot be in the individual rights. The same thing as water. Water is very strategic, key, important issue in our economy. You cannot entrust that responsibility with an individual. That's why the manifesto of the EFF says we will own strategic means of the economy. We don't just own everything, the saloon, the spas. We don't want such things. Anything strategic must be state-led, must be state-owned. If you have a problem with us operating PRASA, I'm amenable to listen to that debate, but I'm going to own the railway lane. Because trains, these locomotives, they can be replaced at any time. If you take them, I can get them somewhere and put them there. But the day you wake up crazy and you say you are taking your railway lane out because you don't like Malema, what alternative can I get? Because it will take me years to put a railway lane. Why would you entrust railway lanes in the hands of the private sector? But locomotives you can give to the private sector, there's no problem. There's a difference.
I would think maybe entrusting entirely. I would think it's introducing competition so that the state-owned company can compete and make sure that there are efficiencies. As we sit, many SOEs have been run as monopolies, but they are failing to deliver their core mandate. That's why we're talking about the potential for private sector participation.
Compete there, not on strategic sectors of the economy. You can compete on everything. strategic sectors of the economy are owned by the state. Two, it's not true that South African state-owned enterprises failed. They were made to fail. Let me tell you, here in Prasa, they rent 10 locomotives for 50 million. Then out of 10, they take 3 to go and be operational and put 7 in a storeroom. Then 3, at the end of the financial year, that 3, obviously it can't bring us back 50 million. It brings us back 15 million. They bring that report to Parliament and say, look at what we've done. We've been renting this, operating these things. This thing is not making money. From 50, we only made 15. They are not telling you we hired 10, we operated 3. Why? Make it fail so that everybody gets angry when you say I want to privatize it. But yeah, of course. Well, how can we spend 50 million and make 15 million? They were sabotaged. They were made to fail. And at the center of that was Praveen, your former boss.
Julius Malema is totally right. I mean, the biggest mistake any country can make is putting private-owned companies to play a role in crucial sectors like the energy sector. Just imagine we give the energy sector to Johan Rupert, and then Johan Rupert is no longer happy when the EFF wins an election, and he decides, well, I'm closing one of my stations. I'm actually closing it. I don't feel like operating it anymore, um, and I'm moving to a different country. Just imagine what will happen. Just imagine if rainwater was in private hands. Private people supplying people with water, a basic necessity, a need in South Africa and everywhere in the world. Water is a right. You cannot live without water. Just imagine the Oppenheimers owning those infrastructure that is providing water to everyone, and they decide we are not supplying to that community because they are not paying. We're not supplying to that municipality because they are not. Just imagine the anarchy that is going to happen if that was to happen. Do you understand why it is important for these sectors to be handled by politicians? Because politicians have what we hopefully think that they've got the best, the needs of the people in their hearts and in their policies. Because private company is there to make business. So if a private company supplies electricity, you know, guys, that Soweto alone owes ESCOM more than, I think the last time I checked was 200 and something million rand. Soweto alone. So you can imagine if it was a private owned, they were not going to supply electricity to Soweto. Soweto was going to be a city, a township with no electricity. They were just going to cut. Because remember, when you try to bypass houses, then that's where the illegal connections come. So at the end, a private owned company owned by King was going to shut down the whole city. Excuse me. So it cannot be that you think that in any way, shape, or form that private people must play a role in these sectors. You don't understand what you are saying, and the way they were trying to run down about the Nelabo, SAA, and we are seeing with SAA. If you are flying a lot, you know how much this prices has ballooned. I mean, there was a point where it was 650, 700 rand for SAA from flying from Kimberley to Johannesburg. It was almost like a bus ticket. That's how cheap SAA was. But now you find yourself, paying 2,000 rand, 3,000 rand for the same trip because everything is privatized now. You understand what I'm saying, ladies and gentlemen? We cannot give up in fixing our private-owned state companies. Our state companies, and making sure that they are functional and they are working for these people. And when it comes to electricity, ladies and gentlemen, the way We have so much coal in South Africa, especially in Mpumalanga. We don't, guys. Actually, electricity, I would go as far as saying electricity can almost be free. It can almost be free in South Africa. But anyway, let's leave that one for now. Julius Malema also touches on state-owned bank. I have made a noise about state-owned banks. In fact, we must build our own institutions, guys. There must be someone that says, King, let's build a state-owned bank. Let's build a bank that we will partner with the state, and we run it with the state 50-50%, and we run it with them. Listen to what Julius Malema said exactly about that.
You're going to put your own money.
Yes, that's where the salaries of the employees of the state are going to be paid from there. The monies of all the departments are going to be banked from there. And we are not going to use any of your money to build a state bank. We already have money in the African bank. The other day I said net bank, and someone was like, I realized, oh yeah, African bank, through the Reserve Bank, we have shares in African bank. So why can't we grow our shares in African bank and ultimately push everyone out and take African bank to be a state bank? Because already we're participating. It's not going to be the first time the state participates in the bank. Why is the state being pushed away? The state is being pushed away because private financial institutions are scared of competition. They thrive through colluding.
So effectively, you saying more state-owned companies participating in critical sectors of the economy. One would say, what happened to institutions like the post office, for instance? Isn't that one of state banks that could be operational?
Well, the post bank was one of the most alternative options that we could have utilized to establish a state bank. Post office was one of the most useful institutions for us black people, especially the rural masses of our people. They received a lot of services from post office. So when you say technology has advanced and therefore post office has become irrelevant, it's nonsense, because there are private companies now that are doing the job that post office could have done. But the corrupt, the leadership that lacks vision, the leadership that says, but making post office a bank now, how is it going to give me money now? Because those are the people of eating now. They don't have time and the patience to wait. So you need a leadership that has got vision, that will protect the state-owned enterprises and make sure they are led by men and women with the necessary capacity.
One thing that people get confused is that they think if a state-owned bank opens, and this is the private sector, this is what they think. They think if a state-owned bank emerges and becomes successful in their operation, it will close Absa, Standard Bank, and whatnot. It will not close them. They can't run away. They can't. It will reduce their profit, yes, but they will come out with new tactics and lesser interest rate and everything. Because I'm telling you, the state-owned bank, the only thing is going to take the majority of the customers in these private sector banks is government workers. Government is the biggest client for all of these banks. So once government opens its own state-owned bank, it must then take its clientele, which is what the public servants. The public servants will then bank in this bank. Let's call it the post office bank or the African bank, whatever it is. Everyone that works for the state will be there. And remember, the state employs more than the private sector. So meaning these banks will not run out of money. These banks will not run out of money. Everything will be there. Our monies, our investments, our pensions, our whatever, everything will be here because it's state-owned, and it will make life easy for people. People who could not afford car and a car and a house at the same time will be able to afford it because of the state-owned bank. There is no other way, ladies and gentlemen. After 30 years, we are still debating a state-owned bank. After 30 years. That is why you will have people like my family in this channel that says, King, let's rather build the institutions ourselves. Let's stop wasting our time with a government that does not have the political will to take their people out of poverty. And we hope that if parties like the EFF win, that indeed they will keep to their word. They will come and say, listen, this is what we promised. This is what we are doing. For me, it will make me so happy. You understand? I don't know what I will do if the EFF gets power and makes U-turn. And it does not look like they will make a U-turn anyway. I'm just saying you cannot trust politicians 100% because they are working also balancing their relationships with the international community. So, and again, it's not easy. It's not easy attacking that sector. It's not easy. That sector is very closed. It's very closed for a few families, few companies. It's very difficult to infiltrate as an individual. But I believe as a government, as the state, it will be easy to reopen the post office banks wherever they have died. A post office bank was everywhere. A post office was everywhere, what I mean. And it will be easy to make those post offices functional banks and with ATMs and everything inside there. It's easy to do that. You're not going to start from scratch. You've got something to work on. So I like what he said. And also, let's cover this very important thing about coal. I touched on it a little bit. What Julius Malema said about electricity and the coal stations.
Can't allow that. So the same coal that we must not use, we're even given money not to use it, gets into the trucks. Where does it go? Leave China because you hate it. It's going there, that's fine. But it's also going to Germany. It's also going to UK. There was a debate that UK is actually trying to revive one of its biggest coal power stations. They're getting from the same coal that we have signed that we must not use it. As a result, we don't have electricity. Secondly, the power stations must be security national key points. So whoever works there must have a security clearance so that we will not sabotage from that strategic position. But these power stations must be serviced and maintained. The maintenance money and servicing of power station must not go into the pockets of the people. The power station must have people who are well capacitated, qualified engineers, and even if it's cadre deployment, nothing wrong with it. It ought to be on merit. As long as you've got the proper qualification, whether you are ANC or not, get the job. There is a person there who decides that we are going to level 6, stage 6, stage 3, stage 6, stage 1. It's called system controller. Ask one minister of the ANC, do you know who system controller is? They don't know. They just get told we are now going to 6. And they don't have the technical know-how to counter that we are not at a point where we require stage 6. So you do as you are told, because we have got no state capacity to deal with such issues. Those are the key issues that we believe as the EFF, if we address these issues, we'll have a proper country.
You guys correct me if I'm right or wrong. When it comes to state capacity to run strategic sectors like the health sector, the financial sector, the mining sector, and all of that, I think it's easy to prepare comrades for that sector. When we want to run a successful coal mine, we take our comrades in the youth league who are still young. I'm talking about 19 years old, 20 years old, and we send them abroad to go study in China, in Cuba, in Germany. And we make sure when they graduate, when they are 25 years old, when they come, they start working at the lower levels at our coal stations. They will come already with a practical experience from overseas. And when they come over here, before they are even 30 years old, they will be carrying a big wealth of information, education-wise, with a certificate, a degree, a master's, or whatever it is that they have obtained in that 6 years that they've studied. And you don't send one, you send quite a few of them. You send a pool of 15 boys, 15 girls, and you make sure that these 15 boys and 15 girls, when they come back, they go to work. And you send these people every year. Every year you send 15, 15, 15. So when the others graduate, the others are still in their system. These ones are working. There's so many coal stations in South Africa, about 11 of them in Mpumalanga alone. So you make sure that you prepare for the future while you are still building new coal stations in other parts of the country, while you are still working on your nuclear. You prepare by preparing the youth. I don't understand why politicians don't do that. You make sure that these children that you have in your youth league go and study to be doctors and how to run hospitals, and not only that, how to be ministers, how to manage departments. They go and study that and come back, do internship and do whatever while they were still young. So when they are in their mid-30s, they already have something like 10-year experience in that sector. I mean, why can't these people do that? Instead of now, you are in power, now you are the ANC, now you're looking around, who can run the Department of Health? You don't have anyone. You end up employing someone with lesser qualification, but because they are a comrade, you deploy a comrade there to go and mess up the whole department. The same thing goes with the mining sector. I mean, it's so simple to prepare for these things. Why are our politicians, why don't they have the wisdom to do this? Especially the ANC that stood in power for so long. They could have prepared young men who would have been now middle-aged men running all of these departments. All of them. All of them. And the old people will just be probably in parliament and just relaxing there, make sure they provide guidance and provide mentorship or whatever it is. And our departments are Department of Sports, Department of Small Business, departments that need youth in them. So, and now we go to the mines. And here, some of you might not like what I'm going to say, but it's fine. You'll be strong. What Julius Malema said about the mines, the state starting its own mines and leaving the mines of Anglo-American alone, and what exactly does what is the EFF's position when it comes to nationalization of the mines? Listen to this.
Tell me now of any industrialization that has been state-led, and then we complain about jobs. Very rich in minerals. All those minerals are extracted from our land and they are put on top of a truck to Richards Bay. When you look at that, you say, no, it's chrome. It's not chrome. It's jobs in a truck transported to China to go and do job creation in China. Because that chrome, when processed here, we don't even clean it here. So when processed here, you can imagine how many jobs can be done. So we need state ownership of the mines. So when we say nationalization of the mines, we don't mean we're going to take a mine of Anglo-American and nationalize it. We mean the state must have its own mining company, which will be given preference, especially on profitable minerals. Let's go to Mokopane, for instance. The platinum in Mokopane, Anglo-American is no longer mining. When it gets mining rights, it outsources the mining to other companies. But Mokopane, they are mining it themselves directly. Why? The platinum is just here. It's the most profitable mine of platinum. And that, if was owned by the state, how many jobs we're going to create with that money of that platinum alone? How many social responsibilities can we attend to with that money alone? How do we do that? The state is not driven by profit. The state with its money is able to reinvest in the social well-being of our people.
Now, when Julius Malema spoke about land in the other videos, because I've got a lot of EFF supporters on my channel, and guys, I love you so much, but my opinion is my opinion, and my opinion is based on what Julius is saying out of his mouth. I'm not assuming, I'm not thinking that he's saying whatever. I'm interpreting exactly what he's saying, and I'm telling you as a Pan-Africanist how it sounds to me. You might not agree with my point of view. It's okay, because I don't agree with yours. And I also don't agree with Julius Malema when we come to the specific issues. It was okay when all of us, some of us disagreed with Julius Malema and his stance with the LGBTQ movement. It was okay. But when we disagree with other things, it looks like there is a fuel of fire that happens. Let's use superior logic when we are debating on the conversation, and keep it respectful also. When Julius Malema spoke about land, I played you a video not so long ago where Julius Malema said agricultural land will not be taken from the whites, it will be protected. Those were exactly his words. He said it. He said agricultural, we will not take farms away from white people. So now he's coming and doubling it up, talking about nationalization of the mines. And he says in his own mouth, let me play it again, just a short clip. Let me play it again because it looks like I'm putting words in Julius Malema's mouth. In his own words, he says they will not take the mines of the white monopoly company. Listen to what he's saying.
We need state ownership of the mines. So when we say nationalization of the mines, we don't mean we're going to take a mine of Anglo-American and nationalize it. We mean the state must have its own mining company, which will be given preference. We don't mean we're going to take a mine of Anglo-American and nationalize it. We mean the state must have its own mining company.
So he specifically even names the mine. He says, we will not take mines of Anglo-American. We will build our own state-owned mines. Now, ladies and gentlemen, that might be a strategy that the EFF thinks it might work. But for me, I'm saying, let's remember how these people acquired these mines in the beginning. When Julius Malema said it will not be business as usual, I thought he would come to the mines and say, now that the state owns the land where you are mining, the state will own a percentage of the mine also. And we're talking about 51%. It's either those people decide to leave that mine or they partner with the state to continue to operate and loot our minerals. If we want to own the means of production in our country, I don't think that we should start from scratch. Where are you going to start from scratch? Where are you going to build your mines? Remember, these mines are strategically positioned in places where the mineral is found with a huge number. If you come and build next door, you might not find the same amount of bulk of mineral like the private sector is finding. I'm saying the private sector that is mining in our country, especially the open Hamas, Argamans, De Beers, and the open Rupert families, and all of these rich families, there's like 5 or 6 of them. They must not be left scotch-free with looting our country. And I strongly disagree with Julius Malema saying we will leave these people alone and we will start our own mine. That's what we mean by nationalization. It's pure nonsense. It's not Pan-Africanism at all. At all. Pan-Africanism is taking the advantage of white privilege and giving it to the black people. We are talking about taking the rights of the mines and putting it in the control, the custodian of the state. Not to say we are leaving them alone, we will start our own here. No! How can someone come and steal in your house and is busy busy with a borehole that is making water. And the time you take control of your title deed of your house, you leave the person with a borehole there and you build another borehole. The person who's building a borehole is your colonizer, a thief. He stole that he's stealing that mineral. Who gave him, which African gave these white people the right to mine in our land? That's the question we must ask. If we did not give, if they obtained these mines during apartheid, then all of these mines must be considered illegal according to Pan-Africanism. If that mine was built during apartheid, that mine was built on the beds of Africans, on the land of Africans, and it does not benefit Africans. So we must fight for those mines. Those mines must not go out free because the state is building its own mine. I strongly disagree there with Julius Malema. And I know in the comment section, the EFF members who say, King, you do not understand the CIC, whatever. I played the clip twice for you. It is up to you to hear what he's saying, and it is up to you to believe what he's saying. Because when he is president, he will say, I did not say we will take these mines. I said nationalization of the mines is building our own mines. That's exactly what he's going to say. And he will be telling the truth because he told you, but you did not believe. But like I said, Pan-Africanism does not mean the same to all of us. Some of you, Pan-Africanism means working with your colonizers. For me, it is not an option. It will never happen. That's for me. Understand? But that's how I interpreted it. You guys will go in the comment section and tell me what exactly did you take from him saying we will leave Anglo-American alone and we will build our own mines? Did you take it literally, or are you going to come again and say it's a political strategy? He can't say it straight. He does not want to scare people and whatever. I'm saying when he takes power and he does not take the mines, do not point fingers at him because he did not tell you that he's going to take the mines. He did not tell you that he's going to take the farms. He did not say it. Julius has not said, especially recently. I'm talking about this new Julius Malema that we have, because I told you with age, these people they grow a different conscience, and the Pan Africanism it's damped down. It's not like the Julius Malema of 6 years ago, 5 years ago. That was a different Julius Malema from this Julius Malema that we have now. But you are free to disagree with me respectfully on the comment section. And thank you so much for everyone that has tuned in. We are almost at 10,000 subscribers. I'm going to be giving away the Pastor t-shirt. I can't wait to see people wearing the Pan Africanist School of Economics, Technology, and Agriculture, wearing it, and people asking you, where is this school? What is happening? And you explaining to them that there is a group of people that have decided to make a difference in our country. I'm so excited for that moment, and I'm going to be giving out more. When we get to 30,000 subscribers, I'll be giving out more, maybe 20 and whatever, as long as I have the financial capabilities to do so. I will gladly do it, my African brothers and sisters. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Tell me, what do you think about this episode today? This breakdown of the interview. Do you agree? Don't you agree? Where would you add some points? What points would you subtract? Everything. Feel free to write it respectfully so on the comment section. So until we meet next time, don't forget to pray. After you pray, stand up, African child. Do your best so that God can do the rest. Peace in Pan Africanism. I salute you.